Okay, so there was this guy, and he was working on a banana boat, and the boat went out of business. So he got this pink slip to get another job, but he couldn't read the slip. So he's walking down the street, and he sees this lady walking down the street, obviously in the opposite direction. And he approaches her, and he says, "Excuse me, ma'am. See, I was working on this banana boat, and the boat went out of business, and I got this pink slip to get another job. I can't read the slip, but I'm wondering if you could read the slip and tell me what it says so that I can, act accordingly." And the lady says, "Well, may I see the slip?" And the guy says, "Sure, why not?" So he hands the lady the slip. The lady looks at the slip, hands it back to the guy, and she goes, "Ah!" And she faints right there on the spot. She just faints, flat out faints. She's fainted. Right there, the lady faints. So there's a man walking down the street, probably same direction that the lady was, which would be different from the way that the guy was. And this is a man instead of the guy. The man comes up and he sees that the lady's fainted in the street, and he asks, "What's going on here?" And, as some people just mind their own business, but this guy stopped and he actually says, "Hey, what's going on here?" So the guy, not the man, the guy says, "I don't know. You see, I was working on this banana boat, and the boat went out of business, and I got this pink slip to get another job. I couldn't read the slip, so I asked this lady on the street. She went, 'Ah!' and fainted right there." So the man asks, logical succession of what would happen, the man asks, "May I see the slip?" And the guy says, "Sure, why not?" He gives the man the slip, the man unfolds it, looks at it, reads it, hands it back to the guy, and then starts punching him. I mean, beating him up, physically punching and beating this guy up, hitting him. Fortunately for the guy, there was a cop, police officer that was on patrol. And actually, I don't know from which direction he was coming. But the cop breaks up the fight. And fortunately, because the guy was getting pummeled, but the cop breaks up the fight, and he asks the guy, "What's going on here?" And the guy says, "Well, officer, I'm glad you showed up. I'm really not sure what's going on here. You see, I was working on this banana boat, and the boat went out of business, and I got this pink slip to get another job. And I couldn't read the slip, so I asked this lady on the street. She went, 'Ah!' and fainted. And this man, he started beating on me." So the cop says, "All right, well, I've put a stop to that. May I see the slip?" And the guy says, "Sure, why not?" So he gives the police officer the slip. The officer looks at the slip, unfolds it, reads it, folds it back up, gives it to the guy, and says, "Okay, under the circumstances, I'm going to need to take you down to the station and book you." Okay. Anyway, I don't know whether he said okay. You don't really have a choice when a cop does that. Away you go. So we went down to the police station, and he was in the process of being booked. They had to take his picture. They had to get some basic information, get thumbprints and fingerprints, I think. I think they did fingerprints also. But during the course of the intake, is what they called it, they asked the guy, "So what happened? What's your story?" And the guy says, "Well, I don't know. It's been one heck of a day already. You see, it started out, I was working on a banana boat, and the boat went out of business, and I got this pink slip to get another job. I couldn't read the slip, so I asked a lady on the street. She went, 'Ah!' and fainted. Then this man, he started beating on me. Fortunately, a cop broke it up, and here I am." And the booking person, I think an officer, but not it would be a police officer, but not like a guy out in the field. But the person there in the police department, working for the Department of Police, said, "All right, well, that's fine. I'm just going to book you, and then you're going to actually go to give your information to our desk sergeant once you're booked." So the booking takes place, and the guy goes to see the desk sergeant. And the desk sergeant, I'm told, he's the guy that does the processing. And so the desk sergeant asked the obvious question, "What are you doing here? What's your story?" And the guy says, I'm sure you know already. I mean, it's been one heck of a day. I don't particularly want to go through this again. You probably have notes already from other people, from intake and everything else." And desk sergeant says, "Don't be a Weisenheimer. Just tell me your side of the story, what actually happened." He says, "All right, well, I'm not going to argue with you, Sergeant. I was working on this banana boat, and the boat went out of business, and I got this pink slip to get another job. I couldn't read the slip, so I asked a lady on the street. She went, 'Ah!' and fainted. Then this man, he started beating on me. The cop broke it up. He sent me to get booked, which has happened, and now I'm here to see you." And desk sergeant says, "Okay, may I see the slip?" The guy says, sure, why not? So he hands the desk sergeant the slip. Desk sergeant looks at it, unfolds it, looks at it, folds it back up, gives it to the guy. Guy takes it, puts it back in his pocket. And desk sergeant says, all right, well, based on what's going on here, we're going to need to press charges. And can you afford a lawyer? Because if you can't afford a lawyer, and I should have told you this because it's an integral part of the story, although not that important, but kind of integral, is that when the police officer arrested the guy, he read him his Miranda rights, just in case there are any lawyers watching this. He was read his rights, and he knew that he had the right to remain silent, self-incrimination, all that, and if he couldn't afford a lawyer, one would be appointed for him. So the desk sergeant asks, can you afford your own lawyer, private counsel? The guy says, no. I might have been able to do that or work out some sort of a payment plan. You see, at the start of the day, it's been a heck of a day, but at the start of the day, I was working on a banana boat, and the boat went out of business, and I got this pink slip to get another job. I couldn't read the slip, and the desk sergeant says, stop. I just asked if you could afford a lawyer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you to a public defender. So the guy went off to, well, it's not like he went off. He was already in jail or imprisoned. He was in custody, but he went to see a public defender that was appointed for him. And so he went to see this public defender who's a lawyer, and the lawyer starts out by saying, okay, I've been appointed, I'm a public defender, I'm a lawyer, so you can trust me. And so he tells the guy, the public defender that is, tells the guy, tell me everything, don't leave out any facts, and it's all protected by the attorney-client privilege, so just don't forget anything, go through excruciating detail, tell me everything. And the guy says, there's not that much to tell. You see, it's been a heck of a day. I started out, I was working on a banana boat, and the boat went out of business, and I got this pink slip to get another job. I couldn't read the slip, so I asked a lady on the street. She said, and fainted. Then this man, he started beating on me, and a cop broke it up, and they sent me to get booked. I went to the desk sergeant, and they decided to press charges, and so that's what happened. The public defender said, I see. Well, may I see the slip? And the guy says, sure, why not? You're my lawyer, I trust you. So he gives the public defender the slip. The public defender opens it up, looks at it, gives it back to the guy, puts it in his pocket. Public defender says, okay, don't worry, trust me, everything's fine. What I think we do is we plead you guilty, and we throw ourselves on the mercy of the court. The guy says, okay, I'm not sure I understand that, but if that's what you think, and you're a lawyer, I trust you, sounds fine to me. So off they go to the judge. It's trial time. This is I could have, quite frankly, and I'll digress a bit, I could have taken you through the ranks of the police department. You could have gone from the sergeant to the captain, the lieutenant, to the chief, and all that stuff. But I really want to get to the end of the story, as I'm sure you do. So they go to the judge, and the judge says to the prosecutor, put on your case, and the prosecutor says, okay, Your Honor, let me tell you what happened here. We, the people, will be able to prove, beyond a reasonable doubt, that this guy was working on a banana boat, that the boat went out of business, that he got a pink slip to get another job, that he couldn't read the slip. He stopped a lady on the street to ask her to read the slip, to assist him, to read the slip, to aid and abet, to interpret and translate and read that slip, said slip. And the lady apparently exclaimed, and she fainted right there on the spot, passed out. The people will then prove that a man was walking down the street, same direction that the lady was proceeding, and he stopped to inquire of the guy as to what happened. And the guy explained the story thus far as it had transpired, and the man then inflicted bodily harm upon the guy, as in he beat him up, he hit him, he punched him, he struck him repeatedly, forcefully. A constable on patrol, a cop, a police officer, broke up the fight, and in doing his investigation of the facts, determined that said guy had this pink slip, wherein he proceeded to take him down to the police station. The booking was routine. The guy cooperated with the booking. Fingerprinting was done. Photos were taken. The front profile, the left profile, and the right profile. We have them if the court would care to see them. And after that occurred, he went to the desk sergeant. The desk sergeant decided that charges would be pressed And although the guy also went to the captain, the lieutenant, the chief, and the whole rank of the police force up and down, because we're limited to, I'm told, 10 minutes and 59 seconds, we'll just ask the court to take judicial notice of those events. So that's what happened.